Hello, good people, and welcome to Hillbilly Cat History. Signed, sealed, remembered, Bill Bixby. And in today's episode, we're going to meet Elvis's other co-star, not Nancy Sinatra, but Bill Bixby. But we're still going to hear more from Nancy, and we're going to hear more from the Memphis Mafia. But first, we're going to start off with a song. And this song is He Gave Us Everything. Hello, Gunn. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate seeing you here.
Oh, 17, snow on the ground, Circle G, love all around. He bought that ranch, opened the gate, said come on in, let's celebrate. Tractor pulling through the snow, laughter rising, spirits glow. Both behind, wives and men, family fun again and again. He wasn't just a star in lights, he was the warmth in winter nights. Kindness wrapped in velvet flame, a heart that never played the fame. He gave us joy, he gave us grace, a piano song in a quiet place. From a jack to a king, in the moonlight ring, he gave us love, he gave us wings. Circle G, where the angels sing. He gave us everything. Riding horses, lakes so still, bridge and cross on the quiet hill. Barbecue smoke, stories told, moments more precious than gold. He'd ask me who I'm dating now, what I dream, what I'll allow. He cared like kin, not just a name. He lived for love, not for acclaim. He wasn't just a voice on stage, he was the soul behind the page. A man who'd sing to heal your day and laugh at midnight, lose away. He gave us joy, he gave us grace, a piano song in a quiet place. From a jack to a king, in the moonlight rain, he gave us love, he gave us wings. Circle G, where the angels sing. He gave us everything. A shadow in the night, famous face, but heart so bright. Couldn't walk the street like you and me, so he built a world where we were free. He gave us joy, he gave us grace, a piano song in a quiet place. From a jack to a king, in the moonlight green, he gave us love, he gave us way. Gave us everything. Yes, he gave us everything.
Thank you all for gathering here at Hillbilly Cat History, where we remember together and listen for the echoes. And today we're going to be hearing echoes from Bill Bixby. But just before we get there, let's return for a moment to May 1st, 1967, the day that Elvis and Priscilla got married. And some of us wondered, who was actually there? who are all the people that were in the room that saw Elvis get married, and who was in the reception area waiting to see him after he got married and to share the cake. Well, one guy who wasn't there was Sonny West. Not Red West, Red who'd been told he couldn't come to the ceremony, so he boycotted the reception. But his cousin, Sonny West, who also usually worked for Elvis, but right then he was away making a movie. And I thought that today we'd take a look at that movie, Hellcats, that Sonny went to film. I don't think it's out yet while they're filming this Speedway movie. I'm not sure if Sonny's even there. It seems like he came back to the Circle G Ranch, but it's not really clear. I think this movie comes out sometime in 1968. It's designed for a drive-in, so that's where we're going to look at it, in a drive-in theater. Come along, guys. Let's watch a movie.
Now, here are the cycle-mad mamas who ride with them. They're the Hellcats. Slugging, scratching, clawing. Are they girls or devils? This is Sheila, their leader. She'll cut you down or turn you on. Candy, violent, vicious. Linda, beautiful, brutal. Rita, leather on the outside, all woman on the inside. And Dee, gone, just gone. The Hellcats do what they want to, even if somebody gets killed. Want to join? Prove yourself. See the Hellcats. Trip out.
I don't feel so good.
Crash out. Knock out. Freak out. The Hellcats. They're the wildest ever. See the Hellcats from Crown International.
Pretty neat, huh? You guys actually got to see Sonny in a movie. You had to be quick. He was in a fair portion of it, but right when he stepped up, the title came over his face. But he had a pretty snazzy vest on. And you got to see him get drugged by whatever that machine was that drug him away. So anybody who has a little bit of a animosity towards Sonny, well, you got to see a little bit of violence on him there. But he got paid for that violence, so he did that. That was his own stunts. That's why he got hired, because he could do things like that. But I thought that was an interesting clip. And Gunn is asking in the beginning over a girl. Well, the whole movie is actually about the girls. They are the Hellcats. That's a word for females, for ferocious females. So Sonny's really a secondary character. The main plot of the movie focuses around the women. And Jen says that she saw Sonny and Terry saw him, and Jen says that is wild. And Gunn says that she prefers Elvis movies. And that's what Sonny decided he'd rather do than hang out with Elvis. He went to be a semi-star of his own show. His name is on as Sonny West although that wasn't truly his name. His name was Delbert. But his name as Sonny West is on the posters and some of the other stuff that goes along with the movie. So it must have felt really important to him. Now, is he here with us as Elvis is filming Speedway? I have no idea. So you guys tell me, where is Sonny West? When did he return? Has he returned? He also said that he was filming this movie during January or December or something in his book. But he lists both times. And Red says that Sonny wasn't at the wedding because he was away filming this movie. So it seems like it was around this movie, but as we've already discovered, nobody's memory is accurate as to when things actually happened. And Terry says, like Red West, he was in other movies and Knight Rider. Yes. They went on and had careers in the film industry, although Sonny actually got back into the music industry as well. So he had an interesting life. But this story is about Speedway 1968. Let's take a look. Here's the poster again to remind us where we are when we see drawn images that are clearly Elvis and Nancy Sinatra. So this is some good art on the Speedway cover, or the Speedway. I don't know if this is a poster or what exactly, but this is the art that was produced for the poster. And then they've used it in multiple other marketing spots. And Gunn says, is there no one alive we can ask, like Jerry or Priscilla, if Sonny was there? They probably wouldn't remember. Like, people know where Elvis was, but nobody, even Sonny, didn't remember where Sonny was. He published a book about it. And he put the filming of that movie in 2 different spots. So even Sonny can't remember. I don't know that anybody else can. The other thing is, the movie is so unknown that you really can't trust any of the information you find on the internet about it as to the filming dates and such. And there's really no information about the production. It just says like it came out in 1968. So it's one of these kind of films that there just is no information about because it was probably really low budget because it was made for the drive-in. And Luann says, hi everyone, that she's up early. It's 6 a.m. Sunday morning, now 7:13 a.m. in Sydney, and here it is 3:13 p.m. Thank you so much for joining us, Luann, and happy coffee. You're just in time. We're again back on the set on Speedway with Nancy Sinatra and Elvis. And we saw this yesterday, the acetate that Elvis recorded on the 21st of June for Sleepyheads. And this is a picture that was taken on the set of Speedway. Now, from a quick glance, we don't see Sonny in this picture, so we can neither confirm nor deny if Sonny is here. But we do see several other people, and starting on the left, we've got Jerry Schilling. We've got Marty Lacker. The man next to Marty Lacker is a sound man on the film. His name is Larry Jost. There's Elvis in the middle on that back row. There's a man next to him named Don Sutton, and he is a rookie with the LA Dodgers, the baseball team. And what's happened is Larry, the sound man, somehow he knows Don Sutton, And I don't know how he knows him. Like maybe he just met him outside the soundstage. I don't know. But he's brought him in to meet Elvis. And Elvis is such a nice guy. And, you know, Elvis likes sports. I don't know that he particularly liked baseball. But if you liked football back then and you spent time in an area where there was a professional baseball team, he probably knew some things about baseball. He probably was up on it. He might have known that this guy was an up-and-comer. And the guys, I'm sure one of them did. So Larry's brought Don in order to meet Elvis. And next to Don, that's Richard Davis, who is normally Elvis's stand-in for the lighting and blocking and things like that during the pre-production of the movie, or while they're setting up the lights and stuff like that for each day's shoots. He also pretty much is Elvis's size and can wear Elvis's clothes, so he can probably help with some wardrobe fittings and stuff like that. And he also is Elvis's valet. He takes care of Elvis's clothing. And on the front row, we've got George Klein. And everybody knows George Klein. He was a great friend of Elvis's. And it's a little bit unusual that he's out here because he normally has a job back in Memphis as a DJ. So I'm thinking he must be on vacation or something. He used to schedule his vacations around when Elvis was available for him to come out. And so maybe Elvis wanted him there, and he was able to make this happen, obviously. And next to him is Joe Esposito. I'll have to look into George a little bit more. And Gunn says that maybe Sonny wasn't missed. That's one of the things. When the guys that determine that they need to go off for a while, and then they come back, well, maybe it was best that they went off for a while. I'm not sure that Elvis always approved of that, but maybe once they were gone, they weren't missed all as much as they maybe thought they would have been. And let's see. I think that's everybody and everything that I'm noticing in this picture, other than only Marty Lacker appears to be smoking. I wasn't really aware that Marty Lacker was a smoker. Maybe that's a pin or something sticking out of his mouth. And I'm not noticing anything extremely unusual about any of their clothing. It's all fairly similar. They're all wearing some type of pants that are not jeans, it looks like. And either a long sleeve or a short sleeve shirt, button down. It appears they're all wearing a button down shirt. And the sound man, now that's what's really interesting, is the sound man's wearing a tie. So here's a guy that's probably holding a microphone on a big boom, right? Or he's doing something with a sound recorder, which would have been huge back then. This would have been large, heavy equipment. He's wearing a white, short-sleeved, button-down, collared shirt with, it looks in this picture from its black and white picture, a black tie, skinny tie of the era. But that shows you how the crew came dressed to work. Now that's really interesting, right? I don't think it's like that on a set today. And when Gus saying that when Red stayed in his room during the wedding, I'm sure they didn't miss him all that much either. That's funny, Gun. I'm sure. I wonder if Elvis even noticed he wasn't in the reception until much later, right? And Terry says drain pipe trousers. Yes, they're all in drain pipe trousers. That's a good way to put it. Drainies. That's what John Lennon really liked. He liked the drainies when he was a teenager. Now, 10 years later, their pant legs, the bottom of these pants, they're going to be very, very wide. Almost won't be able to see their feet. And here's the star of today's show, Bill Bixby. And Bill Bixby says, I found Elvis fabulous to work with. Now, we saw Bill in Clam Bake just a few months earlier. So this is like a reunion for Bill and Elvis. And apparently Bill had a really good time on the previous set. And we even learned that he took a woman's bra off during the middle of the shoots, and everybody seemed to think it was hilarious. So Bill was having a great time. And now he gets to make another movie with Elvis. Now, Elvis is looking great in this picture. It appears to be a white jacket with a black shirt and black pants. Again, it's a black and white photograph, but it's a very sharp outfit. And Jen says that she's always liked Bill Bixby. I like him too. Have you guys ever seen The Magician? That was an early 70s show that Bill was in. But then he did The Incredible Hulk. And of course he did My Favorite Martian and The Courtship of Eddie's Father. So all of those are iconic. And people, they've got a lot of reasons to love Bill. And Gunn says that he laughed a lot. And that they had more great fun together in this movie. I think they did too. I think Bill had a great time. And Gunn says that she's only seen the Hulk with Bill. Well, if you can see any of those others, they're all great shows. The Magician is fairly unknown. A lot of people don't remember that one. But My Favorite Martian is a very funny show, even today. Luann says that Bill Bixby showed his thrill with working alongside of Elvis again. That's true. I'd have been thrilled to work by him again too. And Elvis must have asked for him or approved him or something, right? Like, you don't end up in an Elvis movie without Elvis giving the nod. He's got to have some kind of it's not official approval, but if he doesn't want you there, you're not going to be there. And so when they said, hey, we're thinking about Bill Bixby again, he must have been like, that's great. And this is a picture on the set with Bill and Elvis and a couple of fans. So they took the time out, unless somebody knows who these two people are. From the information that I found, they are two fans who were there that day and had this picture taken. And Bill, he's got a great big smile, but I would say that's a showbiz smile. And the fans, they are truly happy. You can see that it's just beaming out of their faces. And look how dressed up they are in order to come to this. I mean, this isn't formal wear, but this isn't exactly casual either. The man's got a sports coat on. He's not wearing a tie, but he is wearing creased trousers, a button down. It appears to be a black shirt, but it could just be a dark shirt. It's a black and white photograph. The woman is wearing a skirt, a pleated skirt. I think she's even got some kind of gloves on. It's a very 60s top with this striped pattern. And Elvis and Bill are both in their costumes. Elvis is wearing his Speedway jacket. And he just looks really cool. Right? It's like, he's not exactly smiling, but he's not frowning in any way. He just looks like, he's just very pleasant looking. And Luann says that back in 1971, she watched My Favorite Martian every night, and then the Hulk later on in the 70s. And Gunn says that Elvis had a perfect hairdo, as in clam bake. Yeah, I would say that he's got some great hair here. And Terry says he would not want to make Bill Bixby angry. You wouldn't like him when he's angry. That's true, Terry. And Nancy Sinatra says this movie and Elvis's comeback special were his zenith. I mean, how gorgeous was he then? Wow. So Nancy Sinatra from a later period, but referring to 1967, she echoes what Gunn says, that Elvis is looking great here, especially his hair. And Bill Bixby says, the very first day I ever walked on the set with Elvis, he made an issue of coming to my dressing room and welcoming me and making me feel comfortable. So that would have been on Clam Bake. We didn't know that. But when he first showed up on Clam Bake, Elvis, and this was right after Elvis had that concussion and had just recovered. And Elvis took it upon himself to go to Bill. Most people would think it was up to Bill to go to Elvis and introduce himself, but Elvis went to Bill, and he wanted to welcome him and make him comfortable on the set. Here's a shot from the movie. You can see Bill and Elvis and Nancy Sinatra. Now, I recognize one other person. There are 4 other people in this photograph. The man on the far left, I don't know his name off the top of my head, but I do know that he played in McHale's Navy, which was a television show with Ernest Borgnine. And I cannot remember his character name there either, but he was a guy that he ran all kinds of shady deals on that show. But it was a sitcom about being in the Navy. But here he is, a familiar face. So I do recognize some of these actors by face once you start looking at them in these still pictures. Luann says that 1970 she was 10 and remembers it black and white because that's the way she saw it. And Gunn says that guy on the far left does look familiar. Nancy Sinatra says Elvis's humor was silly and self-deprecating. He made fun of himself, which is a very endearing quality to have. We did have fun, that's for sure. And you can see Nancy here having fun with Elvis as they filmed this movie. He's got his arm around her, on her back. As some people noticed yesterday, Elvis seems to have his hands on her when she's nearby. And Jen says that Bill Bixby was also in an episode of I Dream of Jeannie, or this other guy, the McHale's Navy guy. One of them was in I Dream of Jeannie. And Terry says that he was 5 in 1970 and remembers all the black and white TV shows. Luann says they don't make those kind of shows anymore. That whole atmosphere is gone. They don't. But if you look hard enough, not only can you find those old shows, you can find shows that were made around that time that you never knew about because they were only broadcast like once or twice. And they're not the most fabulous shows in the world, but they all have that atmosphere. There's a lot of hidden shows out there. And Jen says the guy with the hat that he was in the Genie. Yeah, he probably was in Genie. He was probably in everything at that time. He was a pretty good actor as a character actor. And here we can see Elvis and Bill Bixby giving us a salute. And Bill says, when you consider the influence Elvis had, the size, the magnitude of that stardom, I was terribly impressed. And he's talking about right now, as we see Bill standing next to Elvis, Bill is impressed. He was impressed on Clambake. He's still impressed. While they're making this movie, Elvis has had him come back. And he's like nearly a co-star. Look, they're both in this same shot. Now, Elvis is wearing a blue suit in this shot. And he's got that skinny 60s tie on. But again, his hair looks great. He's looking very good in this shot. And Gunn's asking, why are the pictures not in color? That's the way I found them. They were in black and white when I found them, so that's the way that we get to see them. Now, back then, it depends on how the picture was taken, too. Right? So, pictures are probably not stills from the movie. This thing is probably a still from the movie. Shh, we're not, you know. But somebody probably screen captured this out of a movie. They probably had a high quality copy of it at some point, but you can still see the fuzz and stuff in it. The black and whites tend to be a lot sharper, and my belief is they were taken with a camera on the set at the time, because there had been these photographers around that were employed by the studio and other reporters and stuff like that. That's why they're for publicity shots. At least the ones from the studio. The other ones are for news reporting and stuff like that. But that's why those tend to be better, clearer pictures. And those, for the most part back then, would not have been color because color film for the cameras was much more expensive. And when you're shooting film pictures in that manner of live productions of stuff, you've got to be able to shoot a whole bunch of pictures. Otherwise, you're not going to get any. Because when you see one, that means the guy shot probably 10 or 15 and they didn't come out. They were terrible. And then, but the one that was good, he kept that one. And back then, he would have just destroyed all the ones that you didn't think were any good, as well as the negatives, because he didn't want to keep it. It took up a lot of room and stuff, and he just didn't have time for that. And Luann says that McHale's Navy was her Nana's favorite TV show. Every weeknight, they would sit and watch McHale's Navy. And there was one of the guys in the pic from McHale's Navy. Yes, we have leaked McHale's Navy to Elvis. Which I think is pretty neat. I think your dad would have probably thought that was neat too, right? Hopefully. And let's take a short minute for just a short commercial, a 1967 commercial break.
You can take Salem out of the country, but you can't take the country out of Salem. You can take Salem out of the country, but you can't take the country out of Salem. You can take Salem out of the country, but you can't take the country out of Salem.
Wherever you light up a Salem, take a puff. It's springtime. That Salem taste says country soft, country fresh. That's because Salem gently air softens every puff for the smoothest, most refreshing taste of any filter cigarette. So wherever you are, take a puff. It's springtime.
You can take Salem out of the country, but
And if you watch TV in America in 1967, there's almost no way you did not see that commercial. That one would have been everywhere. From a major brand, it would have been nationwide. And Elvis, we know, watched TV, so good chance he saw that commercial. Here's another shot of Elvis and Bill Bixby. And Billy Smith, he says that once Priscilla got that ring on her finger and pregnant, things got worse. Well, that's right at this moment, because it's while they're filming this movie that Priscilla announces that she's pregnant. And of course, that's what Billy really means about Priscilla getting pregnant. It's when he found out about it, when the guys found out about it. And he says once Priscilla got that ring on her finger, so once she was married and she was pregnant, things got worse. But what does that mean they got worse? Who did they get worse for? Did they get worse for Elvis? Did they get worse for Billy Smith? Did they get worse for other members of the Memphis Mafia? Well, I guess we're going to have to find out. Billy didn't really tell us. He just said things got worse. And Nancy Sinatra says, "We were like brother and sister. Priscilla was pregnant when we were making the movie, and I gave her a baby shower. Elvis called me the night Lisa Marie was born, and he said he felt that she was so blessed, but that he felt bad that the babies born in the ghetto were not as blessed. He was a very thoughtful, sensitive person." So Nancy reveals that she gave Priscilla a baby shower, and that Elvis called her the night Lisa Marie was born, which is going to be in February of 1968, not too far in the future from this, and that he again expressed a concern for people who had less than he did. And Luann says that she can't add up numbers in her head, but she can remember all the people way back then that were on the TV. I'm right there with you, Luann. I'm right there with you. And Gunn says that commercial is from a long time ago because it was about cigarettes. That is correct. But that's what was right there on TV in 1967. They were telling you, you should be smoking these cigarettes, that they make you feel great. So think what they were telling you about other stuff, like medications or pills or your prescriptions or the foods that you should eat. Probably a lot of flaws in the public information that was being broadcast back then. People thought they were doing the right thing. They thought they were telling you things that were good for you. Now, did the cigarette companies think that the cigarettes were good for you? It's hard to say, but people who smoked, especially back then, they would tell you that it was good for them. And Jen says that Priscilla probably thought she was all that, and that's why it was maybe worse for Billy Smith. Maybe so. And Gunn says that marriage and pregnancy give a person a certain power. And in most cases, I would say that's probably for the good. It's probably best that that person gets some power during that period, but in this case, we could probably argue whether it was or it wasn't. And Gunn says that in 1964, that in Sweden, there was information from the USA, or maybe the UAS, that the cancer could be connected to cigarettes. That's interesting. As far back as 1964, and this would be 3 years later from that, but we've still got a strong ad that says, get out there and buy some cigarettes. And let's take a look at what our next picture is. Here we see Elvis and Bill Bixby. They're apparently having a great time. I don't know if they're pretending to do this for the movie, or maybe they've been caught in the middle of a great laugh. But they are laughing very hard. It doesn't seem faked. Even if they are acting, it's some kind of real laughing coming out. Marty Lacker says that Charlie Hodge, he used to fawn over Priscilla, but Charlie was phony. So, if you watched my video from yesterday that I released as a video, it was about Charlie Hodge and how he heard something about bone cancer and believed it was true. And in the moments that he said it, that was Charlie's true belief. And that we've seen that Donna Presley states that Charlie, she didn't use the words truth teller, but she told us that if Charlie said something that we could believe it. That because he believed it. Not that it was true, but that we could believe Charlie believed it. That Charlie tells the truth. But what Marty says is Charlie was a phony. Now, we've seen other things that Marty says that haven't quite weighed up under scrutiny. But he says that Charlie used to fawn over Priscilla. I assume that means that Charlie treated her nice. Maybe decently. Maybe as a human being. He treated her in a way that Marty wasn't willing to treat Priscilla. And you have to figure out what way that is on your own. But because of that, Marty saw Charlie as a phony. He believed that Charlie wanted to treat Priscilla the same way that Marty treated her. But that Charlie was a phony, so he was nice to her instead. And Bill Bixby says, I first thought that Elvis was a gentleman, and then I realized that he was very sensitive. So Bill thought that Elvis's manners were born from the fact that he was a gentleman, which I think most of us would agree with. He was a gentleman. But then Bill says he looked deeper and he saw that Elvis was a very sensitive person. And he wasn't kind because that's what manners required. He was kind because he saw what you felt. And he wanted you to feel what he did, which was having a good time or happiness or joy. But he didn't want to be the cause of your sorrow. So he was sensitive about your feelings. And that's why Elvis went and he welcomed Bill on that first day and made sure that he was comfortable. And Gunn says trustworthy was Charlie, He'd been told not to say anything and he kept his promise. I believe that's true, Gunn. I believe that the rumor of the bone cancer, when you have two doctors involved, which we heard in the story, Dr. Nikopoulos said there was at least one other doctor, because that's the doctor who collected the samples that were then tested from the bones and said, no, this is not bone cancer. It just kind of looks like it. And so they did their due diligence and they checked. And during that period of due diligence, when they didn't know, apparently that's when Dr. Nick is having this conversation with Vernon. So there's probably a later conversation that Charlie didn't hear, where Dr. Nick comes back and says, no, turns out that it was negative. He did not have this. Did not have bone cancer. Because that's the truth. He did not have bone cancer. But because there's two doctors involved, well, they work at a hospital. And doctors don't work by themselves. If you're in this hospital environment, the doctor's mostly writing orders. He may have taken the direct samples, but he's most likely not testing them. He's sending them to people that they specialize in the testing within the hospital. There's people who do this, technicians. And there's other people that support them, and they'll have access to some of these records. And there's nurses. And there's other people who are connected to these processes in other ways. And there's already a ton of people at the hospital, well, everybody who knows Elvis passed away there, and they're all keyed into it. And one guy even tracks for years some of the equipment that's in the room when Elvis passes away. He's a maintenance man there. And when they get ready to toss out this equipment, he asked to take it because it was connected to Elvis from this room. And he still has it. Or he did the last time that I saw anything about him, which was within the last 10 years. So everybody at the hospital is keyed into what's happening here. They're alert. And now these tests are being done. Surely they also talk to other people and let them know that Elvis had bone cancer. I mean, there's almost no possible way they could have all remained silent. This was huge news. Now, that doesn't mean they went out and yelled it to anybody. This was all done with whispers. And I believe what happened was eventually people started to ask Charlie over and over, did Elvis have bone cancer? We heard that he had bone cancer. I don't think Charlie popped out there himself with this, but I could be wrong. Maybe he did. He doesn't spend a lot of time on it in his book, and he doesn't, I've seen him address it on stage, and he didn't spend a lot of time on it then either. It's not a major focus that he has. So to me, it just feels like he told the truth about what he heard, and it made sense to him, and he latched onto it, and he never got the follow-up information that it wasn't true. So yes, I would say that Charlie was one of the very few almost completely trustworthy people that was around Elvis. Terry says that in this picture, it looks like someone told him a funny joke. And Gunn says that Charlie kept his promise and did not say anything. That's right, Gunn. That's what I believe. So we've got to look at the kind of people that they are. And here we can see another acetate. This one also recorded on June 21st, 1967, suppose. Also in this movie. And Nancy Sinatra says, when I first met Elvis, I was so young and nervous that I didn't handle it well. That was in 1959. And then later on, when we did the movie, And she means this movie, Speedway. Nancy says, when we did the movie, I fell absolutely in love. We couldn't do anything about it because he was married. And Priscilla was about to have Lisa Marie. But oh my God, it was electric. And I think he probably had that effect on every woman. Maybe even some men. I don't know. That's how Nancy Sinatra felt about Elvis as they filmed this movie. She's obviously revealed this later, but those were her feelings at the time. She was in love with Elvis. And Luann says that Elvis could have been getting muscular dystrophy that cripples your bones and causes pain. And Gunn is asking, with Tommy Sands, was Nancy in love with Tommy Sands? Well, she was already divorced from Tommy by this time. So she was available, but Elvis was married, and Nancy had a personal creed that she would not sleep with a married man. So she flirts heavily with Elvis during this movie. They have feelings for each other, but she will not allow it to go any further than that. And she believes it's because she would not allow it to go further. We don't really know what Elvis would have allowed or not allowed. Past performance predicts future performance, so maybe he probably, maybe, but we don't know. This is, Gunn says, I love for real. Let me read again what Nancy says. And she said this during an interview to be published, something she knew would be made public. She says, I fell absolutely in love. And then she says we couldn't do anything about it because he was married. So the implication to me is that she felt love for Elvis. A strong romantic love. And this is a love that she'd had for Elvis since before she met him the first time, years before. No, yes, Gunn says, I understand. I thought you said she was married. And I can see that confusion. Elvis was married. Nancy was not. But Nancy would not sleep with him because he was married. And Priscilla's there and pregnant, and Nancy's giving her the wedding, the baby shower. Must have been a very odd situation for Nancy. And here we can see the acetate of There Ain't Nothing Like a Song, which he also recorded on the 21st. And Bill Bixby says Elvis could pay attention to small things, and to be someone of his caliber, there is little room for that. His popularity, and yet Elvis can still pay attention to the little things. He really finds time to be kind and sensitive to people. So here Bill's telling us that other people that are of the caliber of the status that Elvis has, they do not pay attention to the small things, to the people around them, to their feelings. They are not concerned with those kind of things. That's what he means by there is little room for that. That in Bill Bixby's experience, the top guy on the project is not normally a great guy like Elvis. That Elvis stands apart. and that he finds time, he makes time to be kind and sensitive to other people. So that's quite a tribute from Bill Bixby to Elvis Presley. And that's where we're going to leave it for today. And I'm going to leave you guys with a song. And this will be my newest song, which is Truth That Sounds Like Lies, which is about the story of what we talked about earlier with Charlie Hodge. And until I see you all again, you all keep on taking care of business. And thank you so much for being here with me today. Luann, it is 3:55 p.m.
No whisper in the family halls, no doctor's word, no shadowed calls. We searched the papers after he was gone. No cancer written, no sickness drawn. Yet silence breaks in fractured skies. Truth that sounds like lies. Charlie spoke with kindness deep, repeating words he thought to keep, protecting Elvis, guarding flame, or echoing voices without a name. A loyal friend, a gentle guide, truth that sounds like lies. Three voices sing in broken time, each one honest, each one blind. The story bends, the rumor flies, truth that sounds like lies. Fracture born of love's disguise, truth that sounds like lies.
At Graceland's door, the doctor came. Vernon ill, his body lame. A secret spoken, hushed and great. Bone cancer spread beyond the grave. I carried words with tearful eyes, truth that sounds like lies.
Cells that look like death's disguise, stained and studied, no disease inside. Not cancer's mark, but nature in her body, a breaking, nothing to mend. Science clears, but rumor cries, truth that sounds like lies. Each heart believed what it was told, each hand held fragments, shards of gold. But when the pieces fail to bind, the world calls false what's true inside. Three voices sing in broken time, each one honest, each one blind. The story bends, the rumor flies, truth that sounds like lies. Fracture born of love's disguise, truth that sounds like lies. In the silence of the king's last song, truth and rumor both belong. A sacred ache beneath the skies, truth that sounds like lies.